Hi guys, this is part 3 to my January update. It's the 27th of January on a Sunday. I'm pretty tired, but I've gone for a walk down to this valley. There's a little stream behind me in a very unkept forest, and I wanted to talk in this one in a bit more detail about the endocrine system and kind of spirituality and sensations regarding things to do with yoga and like energy and things like that. There was a time during this last year and a half when I couldn't do any yoga, and I couldn't move. It would hurt too much to move. I was literally just lying in bed, and as soon as I could, I got back on my mat. And at first I was doing this yoga practice which actually was kind of not a non-moving yoga practice, so you're kind of tensing up your muscles and relaxing them in a specific way, and you do various things with your bandhas at the end, if you know what they are, and kind of taking your attention, so your eyes might be closed but you're taking your attention to different parts of your body. So that was like the beginning, and then I regressed again and had to lie in bed again and couldn't even do that. And that was just kind of sitting, lying, standing against a wall, in the non-moving things that I was doing. And then when I got back from coming out of my bed again, I felt more ready to do kind of more my own practice with movement on my mat in the way that I want to do it. And it was really interesting because I was really up for it, because I'd missed it so badly, so much. I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to move and, not necessarily do headstands again, but just kind of work myself up to, progressive movements and just getting my joints, like, the synovial fluid going in my joints, and like, if you know Virasana, where you really have a tight bend in your knees. And I wasn't really doing many standing poses. I still don't do very many standing poses. Months later I can do them, but it's not something that my body naturally wants to do. I still find it harder to find my center and be really grounded and balanced in standing poses. But I can stand on my head again. And funnily enough, I can feel quite grounded upside down on my head. But kind of energy-wise, and those kind of sensations are relating to our endocrine system quite a lot. This is what Eileen Duran says to me anyway, and from what I've learnt from her films and the one-on-one contact that I've had with her on Skype, that she said that when you detox, you will have a much stronger connection with things that you might call spiritual in your body. So I was kind of looking forward to that. And I must say that before, when I was on lithium carbonate and I was doing some kriyas and some quite intense yoga practices, I always felt that there was kind of something blocking me, something stopping me from getting the kind of sensations that other people were getting. And yes, maybe I was comparing myself a bit to others, but I always wondered, are the drugs that I'm taking stopping me from really feeling what my body could feel? And now that I haven't been on lithium for, I can't actually remember, was it end of August? September, October, November, I can't remember. I have to look at my films and see. You'll have to check when I was coming off and withdrawing lithium. Sorry guys, I'm not very good at dates. But yeah, it's progressively changed within me. So now I can connect with the energetic part of myself and the sensations that might be warm or cold or tingly or vibration-y, or there's all sorts of feelings that I get in my body, in all different parts of my body, not just where my main chakras are or whatever. And that's continuing to develop. And when at times when I've been less well, it's been a bit scary at times and uncontrollable what my energy might do or what sensations I might be able to feel in my body. And I'd be like, oh, what's going on now? And I can't kind of change it or move it or calm it down. Whereas now I feel like the feelings and sensations to do with energy in my body, it's kind of manageable, and I can create it, I can amplify it where I want to, I can move it where I want to. And I would say that in the past I've never had that degree of control in regards to energy and the movement of these kind of sensations in my body. It might be tricky for those of you that don't feel energy to understand what I'm talking about, but those of you that do, and I think there's probably quite a lot of you that are on some kind of psychotic medication, or mood stabilizers, or things like olanzapine as well. I think a lot of us that are on these kind of medications or have been are the kinds of people that are maybe a bit more hypersensitive in that realm, and that have had experiences where energy or sensations in your body become too much and you can't handle it. And certainly when I was first having my first episode, I was stuck in a car. It was boiling hot. There was absolutely no grounding at all because we were just driving for 2 days solid pretty much. We stopped to camp and then we'd get back in the car to drive back up to the ferry, and I felt really sick at some point. Got out, squatted in the shade, and then had what some people might call a kundalini experience, where your energy, it kind of felt kind of stuck, but I could feel something in the base of my spine, and then it moved up my spine between my shoulder blades. It got to my neck and then got kind of stuck there, and then it kind of managed to get into my head. I pushed my ears really hard on both sides, and then it kind of popped out the top of my head, and I felt a huge sense of release or relief, and I was able just to stand up and walk back to the car, and I remember smiling and thinking, oh, that's better. But at the same time I was also very unwell, very manic, very psychotic, and so even though I felt better, I wasn't well. So and even when I was on olanzapine at the beginning and I wasn't yet managing the lithium levels, I was trying to cross over the two drugs. I remember saying to my drugs doctor, you don't understand how it feels. You don't understand, like this. And I remember going back the next time, apologising, saying, I'm really sorry, Dr. Elwell, that I shouted at you like that. But it, sometimes it can be really hard to try and, I don't know, when you're in that state and you feel out of control when it comes to energy and sensations in your body, you just feel like no one else around you really gets what you're going through, and I felt like I had to shout it to him. So what can I round up with this? So yeah, I have more control over what's going on inside of me. Spiritually, I feel kind of more open and fluid, and that I feel this is like just the beginning, and the more I detox and the more that I clean out the junk that's inside of my body, the more that my gut is happy and not in pain, the more that I have days when there isn't pain and I feel that I can do these yoga postures. Quite often I feel really stuck in the back of my neck, and it's really hard for me to take my head back, or just like the top of my shoulders. And if you know the movement plow, where you've got your legs over your head like this behind you, I quite often do that pose, and now my energy can feel. So, for example, beforehand, I quite often lie down with my legs slightly apart, and my spine is pretty flexible now, so I can kind of, a bit like a snake, undulate it against the ground. I can go side to side as well as up and down. But I can feel that I have a lot of energy going all the way through my body. So I'm like connected like a string of pearls, making a straight line. So from A to B, like the soles of my feet, and my base chakra, or like, everything is connected, and there's not one part that's kind of missing or out of place. And so I get to that feeling of strength inside of me, and then I can bring my legs up and over my head quite easily. So on days when I'm kind of much more open and free, especially in the back of my neck, I can go over like further than I've ever been, and there's this kind of fluidity and flexibility in my spine. And then there are other days when I kind of get stuck around here, and I can feel like this build up of almost like white pure energy in my kind of chest, in my heart center, but also behind in my spine and in my back, and it kind of builds up there, and it's like got nowhere to go. So I just kind of stay there and I sit with it, and I breathe out through my nose. I breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth. So sometimes you can feel like if you're breathing out through your nose, then you're stopping the flow and movement of breath here. And so when I feel that, I really like to expel whatever wants to come out of my body. And then so I just stay there as long as it's comfortable. I don't push it, I don't force anything. And then when I'm ready, I come out of the pose, and then I just lay there in Shavasana, which is like, you're just completely flat, open, palms to the sky, and you just kind of integrate that pose into your body and settle, and then kind of, come back ground center in that new pose, open rather than all curled up in a ball like that. I'm really going off on tangents, and I know this is a long one, but yeah, it's like, it's a full-on journey when it comes to kind of spirituality and energy and the body, in the physical plane, in the mental plane, in the psychological plane, in the mental plane, and I can just imagine that, when it all comes together, and there are times when it all comes together, and I just feel so blissed out, and I feel like just love, basically. I'm sitting there, and I could be in a pose, I might not be in a pose, I might just be cross-legged in in prayer position, or just my forehead touching the floor or something, and I'm just completely, I don't matter. My physical form it's here to hold me on this planet. But I feel like I am connecting with the cosmos and with every other living thing that's here and not here, and I think there's so many more moments when that comes about. And people say, letting go, and in French, what do they say? C'est comme laisser faire. You let it come and you surrender. People use the word surrender a lot, and I've done an awful lot of crying. I've done an awful lot of emotional and letting go, I suppose, and releasing of stuff, and getting rid of all that junk just means that there's so much more space for pleasantness and lovely sensations and feelings in the body, and that's really lovely. And if you want to have a look at my Yoga Joe channel, which is separate to this, I've spoken about bliss and pleasure and beauty and all sorts of other things on that channel, and that was while I was still on lithium. I was talking about those things. It was maybe 2.5 years ago, and before I had this sensation of really intense fatigue and extreme pains in various parts of my body. So yeah, if you're interested to see the before, then it's all there on Yoga Joe. I also want to talk about lots of other things, so that's coming on my next films. Bye!